So, if I may, let me introduce Rafa. Rafa was born in a small island from Spain called Life. And since he was 5 years old, Rafa wanted to be a pilot, among other things like martial arts, musicians, and massage therapists. He has achieved them all. Rafa is a captain in an airline with more than 15,000 flying hours, and some of his duties are flying an airplane, Airbus 320, teaching the simulator how pilots have to handle emergencies, teaching teamwork and leadership for 15 years in the aviation industry. Rafa has a business where he does corporate trainings, and the main topic of his trainings are NLP and aviation concepts. Rafa is a certified NLP trainer for 3 years now and is in the process of becoming a master trainer of NLP. So, welcome, Rafa. Tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got involved in NLP, hypnosis, and what it did for you.
So I just not realized everything that happened in my life is like a kind of sequence of coincidence, right? And I started coaching because of divorce. I tried to get a job as a pilot in China 3 times, and I failed. And I realized something was not right. And because pilots, there is a conception that pilots cannot go to psychologists, I started going to a coach. And when I came to Vietnam, a friend of mine told me, why don't you do NLP? And I started doing NLP. I did all the courses, then I did hypnosis, and I just love it. And with the techniques and the skills I learned from NLP and hypnosis, my career as a pilot, boom, I was recruited by Airbus in Toulouse in France, which is the manufacturer of the airplane I'm flying, and this is kind of like the top of any pilot. More than that, there's nothing, right? So I was recruited. I said no because I wanted to have my business here in Vietnam, and here I am talking with having a webinar for the American Board of NLP.
Awesome. That's amazing, Rafa. All right. So let us know what are we talking about today?
So today I'm going, well, as the webinar is called The Secret Code of Language. And let me share my screen. Everybody can see my screen, right? So welcome everyone. I'm here to talk to you about something that we all do every day. And most of us, we do it unconsciously, which is communicate, communication. So then in aviation, let me explain a little bit. We train for everything. We train how to handle technical problems, how to make decisions, but we are not actually training what happens when people misunderstand each other, right? That is, we don't teach that. And today I want to show you how language isn't just a way to talk. It's how we lead, it's how we influence, and also how we shape results, right? Then I want to tell you a personal story that happened to me once I arrived to Vietnam. In my airline, I developed a reputation about being always a captain who waits for the cabin crew. We work all together, we move all together. It's not just like pilots walking ahead, like showing off leadership or whatever. No, I just want to move like a single unit, right? But because of that, I am always waiting the cabin crew. I expect they wait for me, right? And when that thing doesn't happen, I take it seriously. Probably maybe too serious, right? So one day, cabin crew did not wait for me, right? And I got really disappointed. And when we arrived to the airplane, I told her in a very nice way, listen, I'm really disappointed you didn't wait for me. Her answer was, you know, I'm also disappointed, you know, and I felt like that was kind of a revenge, right? So we decided the conversation was a little bit bad. So we decided not to talk, just pure procedure. We talked by the interphone from cockpit to cabin, and there was no eye contact, there was no interaction, just two people doing their job without connection, right? So the the purser is responsible of checking in pilots. But she was so upset, she sent another cabin crew. And this guy called me on the interphone and said, "Hey, Captain, do you need anything?"
Rafa,
And then,
Rafa,
yeah.
I'm sorry. We're not seeing your full screen. We're seeing all of your notes and not the full screen.
Ah, okay. Sorry. How about now? Yeah. Okay. So the thing is that my he called me and he said, "Do you need anything?" And then I said, "Well, no, we are fine, thank you." So then, for me, that was clear. For me, that was clear to say we don't want to be disturbed. We don't want to, you know. But 5 minutes later, he called again. So I thought he was actually having a problem. There was something wrong. So I opened the door, and then he said, "I'm here, ready to take your order." And then I said, "But I told you we are fine." And then he says, "Oh, I understood. Wait me for a while." And then I did wrong, and then I start laughing. Not laughing to mock him, is laughing that I thought it was completely different of what I meant, right? So he took it wrong, and the whole mood of the whole flight of the day, it was terrible. At least for me, it was terrible, right? So I learned the lesson. And yeah, small cultural assumptions you need to take into account, the mismatch tone, and also sentences that are completely misunderstood, right? So that's why today I'm here to talk about flying minds, yeah, because can happen in the high performance environment, like a high stress performance, like an airplane. What will happen in your everyday, you know, like with a client, in a classroom, with your team, yeah? So we don't need just to communicate better. We need to influence and do it that consciously, you know, and this system that I'm going to teach you, it has been working for me very well, yeah? Then, did you know that over 80% of the aircraft accidents is caused by human error? Again, we trained the pilots in everything, in technical skills, fire, engine failure, decompression. But most fatal mistakes aren't about the systems, it's about the people and how miscommunication can happen. And I'm going to tell you a story that happened in 1989. In 1989, this accident was very, very famous. And every accident in aviation helps us to improve. So the aviation theory is that non-accident can be repeated for the same causes. It can happen for different, but not for the thing. So we learn, we create procedures, and we create trainings to avoid that happening again. And these ones were very important precisely because of language. They got a fire on the engine, on the left engine. So the captain said something like this: the right engine is the left one, right? And the first officer said, right. So they shut off the right engine on the right. So they had two engines failure, basically, and they crashed, having this amount of people die, 47. Yeah. So why is a secret code? Yeah, it's a secret code because everyone speaks, right? Everyone speaks, but they do they don't do it consciously. We speak like if we were in autopilot until something goes wrong, right? So my intention here is that you don't want to be in autopilot when something goes wrong. What you need is awareness, precision, and control. Then the power of conscious language, right? This is what the session is about, making language conscious, not robotic, not mechanical, but interpersonal. And you know why? Because conscious language creates conscious outcomes. Yeah. So these patterns can be taught in many areas. And I like to model, I've been modeling Adriana James and Tad James for long now. And there are four possible scenarios, no? Four possible areas. Business, you don't need to lead with authority. You just need to lead with language. It's like my example that I talk about. Then in therapy, every transformation starts with a new sentence, with something someone says. For example, in my case, every time I listen to the Adriana James and Tad James audios, there is a sentence that makes a change shift on me. In education, as Tad James says, maybe ADHD doesn't exist. It's not about the student, it's about the teacher. Once when I was studying to become psychologist, I exactly said this, and the teacher agreed with me. You know that when we diagnose ADHD into a kid, probably the problem is the teacher, not the kid. And then parenting. Parenting, the words you repeat becomes suggestions or the child's inner voice, right? And that reminds me something when I was young and I was doing something good. When I was a kid and I was doing something good, some members of my family, they say, you see, you were not that stupid. So what do you think that things create to a child, right? So this language, this care for what we say and how we say, it can be applied in these four areas. Then this is a moment when the language becomes designed. Yeah, we need to design the language when we stop reacting and we start creating the reality with purpose, with intention. Yeah. This is not about what you say, no, as the slide says. Communication is about how you say, how the other person builds in their mind what you're saying. Yeah. Then we know now communication drives everything, right? And like decisions in the cockpit, emotions at home. But what makes language truly powerful is this. It has a pattern, it has a code, it has a structure. The thing is that we need to discover what is the structure and follow it. Yeah. So this is the secret. We probably sounds familiar for the practitioner and master practitioner. The secret code has four core components. Yeah, which is the NLP communication model, the conscious use of language, linguistic presuppositions, and quantum linguistics. Yeah, these four components, it's how the language works at an unconscious level, how it creates meaning, emotions, and actions. No? And when you master them, you stop improvising and you start designing. Yeah. So the next slides will be much more as a refresher of NLP practitioner and master practitioner. So we have external events, our filters, our internal representations, state, and behavior. We don't respond the words in the same reason. We respond to our internal representation, right? So that's why everyone filters and responds to sentences in different ways, right? Precisely for the NLP communication model. Then, most of the time, people speak reactively out of a habit. You know, we do this as a habit. But conscious communications use a language strategically. is the difference between making noise or making an impact, no? And we are here today for that, to create an impact, right? So then the other pillar is the language tools that guide our thoughts. These tools let you direct the conversations without resistance by chunking up, chunking down, and we direct the other person's thinking, yeah, without confrontation. This is all about avoiding the resistance, yeah. Then linguistic presuppositions. Presuppositions are assumptions hidden into the grammar, or is it's hidden into the sentence that slips the unconscious barriers. Yeah, and when I ask, what do you need to realize in order to move forward? For example, I'm already making some assumptions: a cause, an effect, and time, awareness, a possibility. Yeah, I'm assuming all of that. Yeah, and I'm assuming that it's going to happen. Yeah, not that it has the possibility to happen. Then quantum linguistic, one of my favorites. These 4 questions may sound simple, but they have a very profound impact in the other person, yeah, because it creates some kind of that you have options. Yeah? Quantum linguistics is not about theory; it's about designing a language that frames what's possible. Yeah? And then the codes let you influence by guiding attention through chunking and frames, meaning through presuppositions, identify through representations, and believe through quantum linguistics. This is not about learning tricks. It's just about shifting your relationships with language. No, you move from expressing to designing. Yeah, is everybody okay? Good. So we just have reviewed some patterns we learn in the practitioner and master practitioner, right? So now, knowing the code is one thing, and the other thing is how we apply. Yeah. Because you know when I was listening to that James, that James and Adriana James, they said a sentence and immediately says, wrong structure, wrong tenses, wrong everything. And then I went like, wait a minute, is there a structure? Is there a sequence? I didn't know, right? So here's when I apply my knowledge in aviation. And let me explain you what it is, right? So in aviation, we like a lot the acronym, like in NLP, right? And we use an acronym to make decisions, which is DODAR, yeah? The DODAR, we start with diagnosing, yeah? We need to understand what is the problem. Then options, we need to elaborate options so we can, at the end of the day, choose between 2. Then we make a decision together, always in teamwork, yeah? And then we assign tasks. You do this, I do that, yeah? And then we review or we monitor the risk. If then is yes, we continue with the decision. But if it's not, we come back again to analyze what is the problem. This is kind of the same thing that the 5-step sales process. So more or less, this is the same. As funny as enough, I use this model for my coaching sessions. I need to understand what is the problem of my client, then what are the options the client has, what he or she decides, then what are the 3 activities they need to do, and then what may happen so they cannot complete the task, right? So this is actually what I do with my clients. And now, this is what I do. This is when I introduce my knowledge in NLP in this model. I start asking questions. Because in aviation, we teach this like a checklist. First you do this, second you do, and it's very difficult to memorize. So I realized not long ago, maybe 2 years ago, that the system that we were teaching this thing in aviation was not effective, completely effective. So I developed my knowledge in NLP of asking questions so we can create an outcome, a desired outcome. So these are the questions I asked. What is the problem? I need to chunk up to see what are the consequences of this problem, yeah, or what other consequences it might have. Then options, what can we do with this process, with this problem? What are the things we can do? Can we go to destination? Can we go to come back? Or we need to go to another airport? And then what do you think? What are the other persons thinking about the problem? Because I might have my idea, my 124 bits of information per second are completely focused in one idea, and then I don't see the 126 bits per minute, per second of information per second from my colleague, the first officer, right? So I need to ask him for his 126 so I can make a decision. And what we need to do, what the first officer needs to do, what the person needs to do, and what I need to do to bring this airplane to the ground safe. And then the last one, the review and the risk, does it make sense? Does it make sense, this decision? If the answer is yes, I continue with the decision. If the answer is no, I come back to the beginning asking what is the problem. Now, I like to combine, as Candence say at the beginning, all my trainings has NLP and aviation. So I like to combine the two concepts. Now I have a structure. So what will happen if my sentence could diagnose the problem, offer options, suggest decision, assign roles or actions, and invite review and learn? Yeah, what will happen, right? So I want to read a sentence I have ready for you, and then I want you to analyze how this sentence makes you feel. Yeah. So the sentence goes like this: what exactly is the main difficulty here? Is it the tool itself, or how was introduced? I really appreciate the effort everyone put in so far, and I wonder what would happen if we explore a few simple workflows. Let's reframe this as a learning curve instead of a deadline problem. I can talk to IT, you lead feedback, and we'll check on Friday to see things flow better. Shall we? So I call this sentence the Dodar sentence. Yeah? And I literally use it when I'm making a decision with my Chinese. Yeah? When they have struggles, I make not all of it, but the most of it, I do the Dodar sentence. Yeah? Then we have another sentence. Another acronym. This is conflict resolution. In aviation, we teach this when there's a problem in the cockpit, how we have to solve the problem. Yeah? So SADI stands for sharing information. This is what happened. Analyze why is that a problem. Develop actions or solutions. Implement one solution at a time and evaluate the results later. Yeah? I use this when I teach leadership to pilots. Yeah? So now I call the next one. So what if a sentence helps people to share openly, reflect on the pattern, co-create a shift, or take actions to reflect emotionally? Yeah. So let's say there's a child that shut down after a fight. Yeah. How you solve that conflict with the child? So then you can say things like, "Can I share how I felt? And would you feel safe telling me how you feel too?" Maybe it's not even about today. What if we each did one thing to feel more understood? I listen more, and maybe you can show me when you are upset. Let's talk again in 2 days, not to judge, just to feel. One sentence, 5 moves, and that's the power of linguistic design, right? This is actually, I designed some common sentences that I can use later. No? I call this one the SADI sentence. Yeah? So I would like to explore with you today 2 everyday situations. Yeah? One, and how us, we can do designing consciously and change the entire dynamic of whatever we do, right? So let's have these two scenarios. Scenario one, I just mentioned, team is frustrated with new software, for example. We use the dollar sentence. This is the sentence I said to you before, yeah? What exactly is the main difficulty here? Is it the tool or the way it was introduced? I appreciate everyone's effort so far and what will happen if we explore simpler workflow. Let's see this as a learning curve. I'll talk to IT and you collect feedback. Let's check in on Friday, shall we? So I would like now to break down the sentence, yeah? So the sentence is like this. We diagnose, this is what exactly is the main difficulty. We are checking up, yeah, for clarity. We need to check up first to see the overall picture. Then we explore options. What will happen if, you know, the what if, together with the, how's it called, the quantum linguistic, yeah? Then we decide, let's see this as a learning curve. We reframe to reduce pressure. Then we assign tasks. I'll talk to IT, you do this, yeah? We clear the task division. Everybody has to do something. And then we review. Let's check in on Friday. No? Soft evaluation so nobody can feel hurt, yeah? And we show commitment. Everybody good? Everybody good so far? Yes? Good. So this is the do that sentence, right? And then the study sentence. The study sentence, the scenario is client says he feels stuck. Yeah. So to unstuck people, we use the study sentence. Yeah. Can I share something I've noticed? And would you feel okay sharing what's happening for you or what's not happening? Yeah. It seems like deeper patterns are at play. What if motivation wasn't the goal, but the result of meaningful actions? Let's each try one thing this week and checking not to judge, just to notice what shifted. So the client is not broken. I love when Tad and Adriana James says, well, there's nothing to fix because the client is not broken. We need to accept the client as it is, right? So they are not broken. They are just in a period of their life or the moment that they are stuck. So we need to facilitate that. How? With the study model. And then let's break down the study. So share. Can I share something with you I've noticed? Again, chunk up. We analyze. It seems like deeper patterns. We chunk down again. Lateral chunking. Remember that concept from the practitioner. And then we develop options. What if motivation wasn't the goal? Yeah, the what if framework. Again, that we can put here embedded, included the quantum linguistics. Right? Then we implement what we decided. Let's each try one thing that we have mentioned, just to low friction, and also always use the word we, because if we say you, the person can be felt attacked. Yeah. So, and then we evaluate, we check in, not to judge, just to notice. This is a presupposition to review without threat. Everybody good? So I would like, now that you know the SARI model, now that you know the DODAR model, I want to ask you, how do you feel about this? How is it going? Anyone wants to share? Does it make sense what I said?
Yes, it makes total sense. And I love how you've broken it down and taken what you've learned in the cockpit and even used the exact same acronym and brought the NLP tools into it.
Awesome. So
Yeah, very easy to follow. Thank you.
easy to follow. Okay.
And the slides are really clear. And the slides are really clear. Excellent.
Very clear. Okay. Who else wants to share? Do you find it useful for in your area of expertise? Okay. Good. So let's continue then. So everything you say is doing something, right? Every word, it moves attention somewhere. Every sentence you speak or hear is building a representational an internal representation in someone's mind. Yeah, it's not philosophy. Yeah? This is neurology and this is NLP. And here, the truth no one told us at school is that language is not just a tool, it's just a terrain. It's the map, yeah, it's the copy, and you are the one flying, right? So the language shapes your mind, emotions, and outcomes. So we have the responsibility to use it with purpose, right? Then let me finish this with this, yeah? You don't need to change the world tomorrow. You just have one moment. I am not trying to change the world tomorrow. I'm trying to change the world little by little. How I do it? I first try to change the world in my company, in aviation. So that's why I'm implementing NLP into aviation. Then with one conversation, maybe you will change or shift the mind, inspire someone else. Yeah. And when you do, you notice those shifts. I can tell you that in my company has been improving, and not because of me, it's because of the effort that everybody does implementing these things of NLP, because I'm teaching NLP to instructors here in my company. And I can notice the shift because when language becomes conscious, the connection becomes inevitable. Yeah. Again, if this thing that I told you sparkles something in you, follow, ask questions, try things, try new things in your area of expertise, in your industry. And I encourage you to use the DODER sentence and the SADI sentence, for example, for conflict resolution or for decision making. I encourage you to do that. And, well, thank you very much. This is my speech.
Thank you so much, Captain Rafa. That was excellent. Oh, your screen is on, Rafa.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Excellent. Does anyone have questions for this captain here?
Mhm.
Have a question. Candice. Hi, Rafa. How are you? That was very interesting to just see how you've been able to break this up into a methodology that can be used with clients or in any context, really. For you, being in the cockpit and all the work that you do in NLP as well, how has this supported the growth in your business, do you think? How has this made a difference?
Yeah,
Say that
but
again?
the thing is that in my business, I use the same concept. So when I tell the people I use the technology from aviation, everybody's interested. How you do it, how the thing. And one thing that aviation has very good is the procedure, is the process. It's like NLP. NLP has developed procedures for the sales step process. So step number 1, step number 2, step number 3, until 5. In aviation, we do exactly the same. We don't call it 5 steps process. We call them procedures 4. So I see a lot of things related between NLP and aviation. I can connect a lot of things. So when I say I have the methodology of the aviation and neurology like NLP, that's helped me to evaluate very fast where the client is at, and I can act from there. And I follow the procedure, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. So it helps me to keep a track on my clients, and it helps me to understand deeper when to my clients. For example, using the presuppositions. I think that only it worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, that segment in the practitioner.
Hey, thank you very much, Rafa. Thank you for putting this together. Really appreciate it, but I can see hands are up. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Hi, Melissa.
Hi, great presentation. And I have two questions. I don't know if you're allowed to share. I would love to know what airline you fly for, if it's a passenger airline, because I think it's probably you piloting that aircraft is the safest aircraft to be on. And
Okay, thank you very much.
and if, I don't know if you're allowed to share that or not. Does the airline have you had any in turn data where the airline is now seeing the value of you teaching these tools to the other pilots, etc., and are they supporting you further and like paying you to teach this and bring this in, and is that an opportunity for you in growing your business to actually not only be flying and bringing this in a more formal way? Because it sounds to me like it might be a little bit informal the way you're bringing it in now, although maybe it is already very formal.
Actually, it's a little bit informal, but I do it through my company, through
you do?
the
Okay.
company that I own. Yeah. So my company, the airline that I'm flying is called Vietjet. Yeah, it's from Vietnam, and is the largest low-cost company here in Vietnam. Right. So it's Vietnam Airlines and Vietjet, and I'm teaching this to instructors how to communicate better. And I'm also helping people coaching them to release the stress. And that is measured. I work in safety department, analyzing the data that the aircraft brings. So with that data, we can analyze the pilot's behavior. Yeah. And I am the one in charge of analyzing the pilot's behavior. And in safety department, we have the technical guy, we have the procedure guy, and then we have the mental health guy, which is me, right? So we work in teams, and we analyze how this person might have in their mental wellness. I don't like to call it mental health, but in the mental wellness, so we can help him. No, it's not about fighting him. It's about helping him to become better. And with the stress management, I already get very beautiful results.
Well, congratulations. And I love your foresight in bringing it in and the company's willingness to work with you in order to allow for that to happen, and that you're seeing those positive results.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Melissa. Have I answered your question?
Yes, you have. Thank you. And I love how these tools apply across any industry, in any field, in any country, anywhere in the world. So there's no limit to what we can do with these tools.
No, no. I mean, I agree with you. There's no limits. Thank you very much. Shivani, hello, long time.
Hi, Rafa. This is amazing. Like, I absolutely love every time you share with us. Really learn so much. So thank you. It's kind of like just a note. Like I've noticed from, where your Sadie, where you got share, analyze, develop, implement, evaluate. That's exactly like all the steps, but we call it problems when we designing systems and like in system software. And these are exactly the steps we use. And I never ever thought that we could map it across to what we do, like in our coaching. So that is so amazing. And like, then you made it so simple, like the share, which is your problem. And you going, chunk up, and then you got your chunk down, and then you got your lateral, and it's so easy. I could have this whole conversation, not do a whole coaching session without my notes, without all this stuff, because we got the big picture. And I love that. Thank you so much. It just gives me more insight and how we do things, and where the structure of my brain is so much more happier now. So thank you.
Yeah, it's amazing, right? We already have the tools, but we never thought how to use them in a different context, right? But we already have the tools. In your job, in my job, I have many tools, and I said, what else can I do with this? Because I thought a couple of years ago, I said, it's not only this. I mean, I can use this for something else, right? And then is when I started, I can use this in coaching. This, I can use it in this thing, right? So it's amazing how we, and this is the webinar about, we make conscious the language, we make conscious all the resources we have so we can apply them.
And the other thing I also noticed is like, yeah, you know, we can actually do the whole loop again. So we can redefine the problem, you know, and then come back and then reanalyze and get more from after the bottom steps and reevaluating again. And then we can reiterate and then get re-feedback. Like it's a never-ending cycle, which now I think when we apply it to our coaching, oh, wow, it's so much more powerful. So thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
I'm glad you liked it.
Light bulb moments. Thank you.
Thank you. Billy. Hello.
Hi, Rafa. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you
I
too.
was off camera a lot because I had to start my kids out. We were training, Melissa and I were training all day, and that's why we were a little bit late and got to get the kids to baseball. I'm going to piggyback off what Melissa was talking about in that, just to give you a little bit of background, I've been a police officer for 20 years. And
Which
oh,
officer?
if I knew this stuff when I was a cop, like on the road, my life would be completely different. My life would have been so much easier. Dealing with people would have been so much easier. And I get like, you know, all the checks and balances, right? Because with cops, same thing. We have all these checks and balances that we have to, you know, check. Now, my question is, I'm retiring from policing after 20 years this year to do this full time because now it's my passion. How, without the conflict of interest piece, how do you bring it in? Because I want to bring it in through, you know, our wellness unit, right? Because we do have like an employee wellness unit, which now I like that you called it mental wellness as opposed to mental health. That, you know, we deal with trauma all day long, right? That's what we do. We go into the face of it. Now, how can we bring these tools? Like, I think, you know, mandating one session of timeline therapy for each police officer once a month. If I could have my dream come true, that's what I would do to every police officer in the planet. How do you best suggest that I bring it in with them knowing like there's no first of all conflict of interest, like I'm not promoting my own company or anything like that, and really getting them to understand the power of how this could benefit them? Because they, you know, with policing, I don't know if you know, it's very, there's a lot of red tape around what we bring in, like in training wise. I don't know how it is in the flying world, but how do you best suggest I entered that? Because I really want to bring it into just first responders in general, not just police, but fire, ambulance, you know, all first responders that we have to deal with this work.
So I was lucky because I am instructor for teamwork and leadership, and that is what we call CRM. CRM is complete resource management, right? And everyone in the company, everyone, pilots, not the office personnel, no, but everyone in the cockpit, pilots and cabin crew, they need to go through this training every year. So imagine, we are only in pilots in my company, we are 800 pilots only, right? Then you sum up cabin crew and everything. So probably we have like 2,000 employees, easy, right? So 2,000 every year, they need to do this training. And I was the only trainer doing those trainings. So what I was doing, I was introducing the concept of NLP when we were talking about communication. So this is the NLP communication model. So you raise the awareness of the people because they never heard about it, right? So you raise the awareness, and then many will say, I'm interested in more in how the brain works. That's actually what happened to me. Everybody is like, I'm more interested. I can tell you more about it. I have a business about it. And I can help the company doing that. I do this professionally, you know, and to the point that, you know, Vietnam here, they are very, I mean, I don't want to say old-fashioned, but their mentality is that we don't go to the psychologist. And pilots cannot have mental breakdowns. They cannot be depressed. No. So the pilots needs to be supermen or superwoman, right? So you would be amazing that this year I've been told by the same person who told me that they don't need this kind of stuff. He told me we need to take care about the mental health of the pilots. This was his sentence. So you are creating a change little by little. You know, you need to be the water that drops every day, not the hammer that slams once, right? So it's the drop. and that it will make the shift sooner than what you expect. I can guarantee you that. So if you do it, introducing, maybe you have some workshops, or maybe during your training, you say, I can help you with that. For example, in one of the trainings, one guy had a safety issue that we identified in safety department. I knew it was him, but I didn't want to tell him because of the the secrecy and these kind of sort of things, the anonymity. So yeah, even he asked me, he said, Rafa, how can I deal with stress? So I told him, and since then, he never had any other problem in safety department. Actually, they gave him an award for safety. So these are the measures that I have, that we are creating a shift. So this is how I did it.
I'm not a trainer. I don't have that capacity of the role as being like a trainer for their wellness unit.
Mm.
How else would you recommend I bring it in and introduce it to our wellness unit?
So to the wellness unit, you are actually working in the wellness, or is your own business?
No, I have my own business, but I'm just a constable. Like, I'm just a regular constable. I'm not part of the wellness unit.
To be honest, I mean, if you want, we can have a chat one-on-one, and then I can give you some ideas. But I need to understand first. I need to understand what you do deeply, right? Because like that, I can suggest you workshops. I can suggest you have one of a person working with you so they can see what you do. But to give you a best advice, probably we need to chat
Okay.
a little bit more. Yeah, you know.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Good. Anyone else? More questions?
Any more questions? Okay, so we'd like to thank you, Rafa. Everyone we bring on here every month takes the time out of their busy schedule to present to us information, knowledge, sharing what's going on in their world. So we appreciate it. I just wanted to also mention quickly, has everyone taken a look at the new Master Trainer of NLP standards? Because I see a lot of you trainers on here. So please take a look at the website for our current updated Master Trainer of NLP standards. I want to thank Rafa again. If anybody has more questions, you can contact me to get Rafa's contact details. In fact, we probably can put his contact information after this video via social media. Next, I want to introduce, not formally introduce, but we're going to have Chris Childs, and I believe she's on here somewhere. We're going to be having Chris Childs speaking on the 28th of May. She's going to be speaking on transitioning into an NLP coaching training business from the ground up. Many of you guys had questions, how I should start my business. Should I purchase this? Should I get an office space? Should I do this? So this is going to be a good one. She's going to be speaking on the 28th of May. Stay tuned for more updates. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Take care and keep in touch. Thank you.
Thank you, Candace. Thank you, Rafa.
Thank you all.
Thank you,
Thank you
Rafa.
very much. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Rafa.
Till next time. Adios.
Adiós.